Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things, and it is Paper Pumpkin Day, and it's pouring down rain. It was not pouring down rain when we were driving here in the golf cart, but it is definitely pouring now, and we really need the rain. So, this is perfect timing. I have nothing to do tomorrow, and I might even be able to get started on it tonight because we won't be going outside for the rest of the day. If the rain stays here for long, which we never know, and evidently Hub is going to swing over here to our garbage center and drop off some garbage. It's so funny, it rains so seldom here that it's just a whole new world. It reminds me of Washington State Puget Sound area where we're from. So stay tuned for more Paper Pumpkin fun. Alright, I'm back. The funny thing is the rain was only around for a few minutes and then it was gone. In fact, by the time we came back here to the house, after picking up Paper Pumpkin and going to drop off the garbage, we had sun again. Exploring in Color is May's kit. You may, if you've seen the video where I talk about having won a coloring contest, this is the image that I colored, which is one of the great extra aspects of being a demonstrator is the community within the demonstrators and the different fun events and things that happen. This month's spot is one of the new in colors, Copper Clay. I have not, aside from knowing what this image is and knowing that it has to do with nature, I have not seen any other information. So we've got a happy birthday in a nice angled script. Cheers to another adventure. Life is meant for good friends and great adventures. It doesn't matter where you're going, it's who you have beside you. A hiking boot, a coffee mug, and a compass. Alright, so let's break out. We have a special color tissue to go to my tissue stash. Yes, I should actually show you. So this contest was a voting contest. So the entire Paper Pumpkin demonstrator community got to vote. And here is what I received, which when I saw what the materials look like, I received a cute card filled in by the person running, Nicole, who ran the event. And I won a golden voucher. So it's pretty cool. Very proud of that. See if I can slip this off. Right off the bat, the artwork reminds me of Yellowstone, which if you have not been, it is a wonderful place. So we have multiple envelopes. The outside's being decorated. We have the little scene, the mountain, and a meandering river. I'm gonna guess there are 3 different card scenes, front and backs, which means I get to slice them down the middle and get double for my money. Since it's white based, I can use my sanding block after running these through embossing folders if I wanted to. You get 3 of each design. Here is the mountain scene. We've got some die cuts. So initially my reaction is, oh, this will be easy, which is funny because that means it'll be hard. That's how it always works. So, and then the ones that are really hard end up not being so bad. I hear Hub coming in. I'm going to mute. Let's pause for a minute. All right, Hub came and he went. So I was just cutting out these die cuts, and we have a third scene. At the end, I will pop in the finished coloring project. What I had in the previous video, I had taken the Crayola 100 count colors, had really fine-tuned my colors I wanted, and then I mimicked them using the, I think there's 23 at the time, which was right before the new color refresh. Now there's a new set 1 colored pencil assortment that I have not bought yet. So the 23 colors that were used to color this were the closest approximation to the colors that I picked from the 100 set of Crayolas. And I had a really fun time doing it. I took many, many hours to do the mock-up, and then I had to replicate it again. There was one bush at the front that I had to change. I just didn't like how it came out during the coloring with the Crayolas phase. So I will put those two in the back with the showcase. I see we have stickers. I remember seeing something about stickers. And these stickers are ones you can like put on windows. They're heavy duty. Love the paper pumpkin one. That might get put on the truck. And then I see we have some more die cuts, binoculars, compasses, and then this is the third scene. So I'm going to go away and start contemplating materials to supplement. I will break up the rest of the materials and then come back with any supplies prep of interest. Here, let's tell you the colors. The colors for this kit are Boho Blue, Copper Clay, Daffodil Delight, Moody Mauve, Mossy Meadow, Pebbled Path, and Wild Wheat, of which Boho Blue, Copper Clay, Moody Mauve, Pebbled Path, and Wild Wheat are the 5 new in colors just released, and then Daffodil Delight and Mossy Meadow are just other coordinating colors to go with the in colors. So I will come back shortly. Hey, I am back. I went ahead and pulled the colors, and since these are new colors to everyone, I thought it would be fun to show the swatches and the ink pads. So the Mossy Meadow and the Daffodil Delight are returning colors. They were not refreshed. And now these are the new in colors. I have had the opportunity to play with all of these colors. They're the ones that are open. I think the Daffodil Delight has not been opened yet. And, oh, I haven't opened Moody Mauve. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of stamping with all 5 of these colors. I will do that now. I'm going to go away so that I can open up the Moody Mauve, get some white paper, and then we will just do a little quick stamping session so that you guys can see what these lovely colors look like. They're a very muted, earthy color palette. So stay tuned, I'll be back momentarily. Alright, I am prepared for some stamping. Before I demonstrate some stamping, I want to share some sentiment stamping I already did on the provided labels. And I used the copper clay, and I wanted you to see how the copper clay comes out. This is not using the spot provided. This is using the full-size stamp pads, which I am not very familiar with using, so I'm kind of a stamp pad noob. For the full-size ones, I have always used spots.
All right, so here is what the copper clay looks like. You can also see that I have a piece of the basic white behind, so you can see the color difference. This kit's paper is on the gray side, so there are tricks to work around that. If you are going to put any of these labels directly on, I would recommend sponging around the edges with a dauber. And then don't forget that you can snip off the little hanging chads from when you pulled them off of the die sheet, like so. And then I went ahead and took the Moody Mauve and did a couple of different sentiment treatments. My favorite definitely being I used Versamark and the white embossing powder. Then I haven't removed the chads on this one. To remove the chads that showed on the square, I went ahead and used the edge of a knife. You can use either an old pair of scissors, I would not use your good scissors or snips, or a knife that you don't care too much about, to get rid of the little chads. Because of the way these chads work, I'm not sure. I will take some snips and see if I can remove these. You could very carefully remove them. They're pretty dainty, so probably the easiest way to eliminate them is to go ahead and rough up the edges, as I have done on this one. You can't see any of the chads because I rubbed them off with a knife. So next, I just for fun, another color that goes nicely is gold, though I'm not finding, you know, when you hit the light right, you can see it. So that is another option if you're going for something more fancy. And I have my first piece of basic white ready. I'm going to go ahead and do some stamping. I am left-handed, so I will probably end up tilting it at an angle. I also rotate as I go when I'm doing a full design background. I will start with this nice bold font, and this might be something you guys all know, but here I am. I want to just show you that how I use the full-size stamp pads is I go ahead and I don't put the ink down on the stamp. I lift the stamp up because then I don't accidentally get any of the stamping on the edges, and I very lightly tap. These are super juicy compared to the spots that you get that are uninked and you ink them yourselves. They never get this juicy. So that is just my recommended way of inking up using a full-size pad. I'm going to go ahead and start up here. I am always inclined to go bottom left, so I will put it in the upper right for something different. I have pulled out 3 pads. I have blue, the boho blue, pebbled path, and then the copper clay will be the one I use the most because that is the spot provided. So I am going to use the compass in the gray. And that right there makes a very cute simple stamping card. We'll flip it over now, and we'll do a birthday. Let's see how well these new colors stamp off. So I'm going to start at an angle. I will start over here. And that is how the copper clay stamps off. All right, where's the rest of my? Here we go. It's buried. I do have a surprise at the end of this. Oops. I'm gonna flip it over. So here is just a very nice simple stamping. I will probably trim this one down, mat it, maybe do a pop-up. Here, let's see what it looks like. If I were to pop up a sentiment, I would probably, let me go ahead and get a dauber. I will pause for that because I haven't got them. I'm going to go ahead and take the copper clay around the edges and show you what it looks like placed over the top. Sponge the edges with a dauber. I will say that all of my daubers are used and none of them have these colors. So I picked a dark reddish orange, hoping that it won't alter the color too much. And so far it seems to be okay. I do have a fresh batch of daubers coming, but they are not here yet. So back to my surprise. My surprise has to do with my sentiment search tool. I have always focused on catalogs, getting every catalog. I've done it for 4 years now, and I have never finished the paper pumpkin sentiments, and I finally did some research and found sources for 2 very key parts to making the sentiment search tool complete, which would be images of all of the sentiments, stamps, not just the sentiments, all of the stamps from the beginning of time, which was, I think, early in 2013. So I have entered all of the sentiments from when I started getting them in 2018, I believe. 2017 I lost. It was when I started, and I lost all of those when we lost our trailer. So beginning in 2018. So all of the data entry is up to date, and I'm going to do a demo in a different video for you. I will do that video as soon as I finish with this one, so that if all you want to focus on is this month's paper pumpkin, you don't have to then sit through and try to get around the sentiment search instructions. All right, so here is what it looks like. You could then trim this down, put it on a mat. Copper clay would be a nice mat, or even the gray or the wheat. The last image, we have 3 images, is the cup, which I did not do yet. I will do a 3rd one. So the back of this has a couple of ink spots already somehow. Don't know how that happens. So there's this one. And I will have photography at the end of all of these, though I might dress them up a little bit. There is one more I want to try. There is this phrase. It's in small letters. I don't even have it on block. It doesn't matter where you're going, it's who you have beside you. So I want to incorporate that. Alright, I've cut a bunch of mats and want to go over some designs for the simple stamping projects that I did. Here are we'll go vertical first. I think I need to back up a little bit here so you can see the whole card. All right, that will work. So I've already done photography of these in their most basic form, but I did also prepare. Here was the happy birthday, showing the copper clay's ability to stamp off nicely up to 3 times. So I am prepared to go a little deeper into the stamped projects. We have to go horizontal for these two. So I will dress these up. Here's the Cheers coffee mugs. And this is the one that I am actually okay with it when I was playing with it. Let me know what you think. All right, so now let's start adding some color to these. And actually, since we're going to add color, I have the white because it will look so much better. So there's that way. That way, and I also want to show you how it looks with boho blue mat. I also liked this really well with the pebbled path mat. Now what's interesting too is that there's these there's binoculars and a compass in color, and I'm going to, as in full color, I'm going to go ahead and add. Now these we're going to have to consider the color that they're put on and decide, and it doesn't bother me. So I really like that. Very cute. Now, I think that looks very nice. And then, starting to dress them up even a little bit more would be and the way the light is, because this is late afternoon now, I even wonder if I can overlap it a little bit. It's all about the angles. I do have, remember we have the linen trim. Now, I noticed that the linen trim, sorry, Hub was unaware that I was filming. So we've got the linen trim that now I'm looking for, and I'm not sure where it went off to hiding, but I've got it applied to a couple of, it's a very thin, you know, just a couple of strands. And I went ahead and did a double bow. I was going to see if this double bow could work. And it does. Yep, just remember you can always start adding more bits and pieces to your stamped projects that extends out the materials, as long as you've got white, the basic white. I also have, so I have the new weave trim in 3 colors. I have the Pebbled Path, Boho Blue, and the Copper Clay, and they are available in all 5 in colors. It is called Textured Ribbon. And then I also have, of course, I set it aside, and there's been many items piled on top of it. So I have the in color dots as well that I seem to be unable to find, and I know they're close. I'm going to pause and find them because I will need them. Alright, I found the dots. They're just in colors, glossy dots. I've used most of the blues for a project, one of my swaps, but you can see how nicely the colors will go. And I did not do any dies. I just didn't feel, you could fussy cut any of these shapes out if you wanted, but because we have the binoculars and the compass, I just didn't feel like there needed to be any additional dies, though I do have some different embossing treatments. I used the stripes and Time Worn Type. Time Worn Type is a nice distressed text pattern, and I did a couple of fun treatments with it. I also pulled out Fern, which I have, Fern 3D, That would be a nice accent. And then there's some basic, 3 basic embossing folders. They're new, web exclusives. I do not have them, and any of those would look nice as well. Okay, so we are dressing up our basic stamped projects. I still haven't found my trim, by the way. The linen thread that came with the kit. I did make a small pebbled path knot. It might be a little bit heavy. You could consider trimming, cutting these in half widthwise and mixing them with the linen trim. But I actually think this is a really nice design. Let's get things straightened up here. I want to show you the wheat mat. The wheat is almost a green when it is dry. And I think this is a great masculine card. Nice and simple. I cut the mat thinner on this one. I do have the knot that could just get attached somewhere around here. Maybe up there. Move this. I like to make some sort of a triangle with my dots. This happy birthday. Now I see the gray against the white, so there would have to be some work done. You couldn't just pop that on without doing a little work. But I wanted to still show you. I cut a little tail. You could like sponge the edges, and that would still look very cute. Wanted to add these. And I think that might be it. I had one other fun thing, a little different to do, if I can find. Yes. Okay, so there's this one. And I am going to convert this to a mauve one. And what do you think of that one? I'm not sure if this would work, but let's just try it. Yep, I think that works. And then I already have the gray. Oops, it's still on my finger. All right, so I think that was it for the stamped ones. I'm going to go away, reset, and get ready to do the final segment with the fancier pieces. Then I'll get the photography finished and get this processed and headed out for you guys to enjoy. All right, I'm ready for that last segment. It is starting to get dark, mainly because it's overcast. It's not going to get dark for another 3 hours or so, but it's kind of dim in here with the dark weather. So let's get into the designs that coordinate with all these scenes. I've already done photography. Whether or not I will remember all of them, I do not know. The first thing I want to tackle is the fine moody mauve tint. So that moody mauve just made me think I could embrace it rather than hide it. So it doesn't really have a lot of the copper clay. So I would go with adding the mauve elements up high, most likely, away from the tent. And then I have the in color dots. Keep it pretty simple. I did find my twine so that I could create a fun bow. So that could just attach itself. You could even have this nicely inset. I kind of like it inset so that it's sort of matted looking. The other fun thing that I really like about this one is if I popped up this sentiment. I have some layouts already done that are using my little temporary risers, but I love this little flag. It's perfect for a masculine card. You can still see that there's the stream or river, and boom, there you have it, and the buffalo, and there we have it. Looks great with the mauve tint. Now, before I take this one away, there's another fun scene. There are two ways you could do this. If you didn't like the tent, or perhaps you didn't want the buffalo, I made a little doodad. That coordinates nicely. So on this side, let's just get rid of that tent. So any kind of a vertical with embossing, dry embossing, you could stamp color on color if you wanted. Most of the scenes were probably designed for the opposite, or I would have had to do the birthday on the other side. So let's pretend the birthday is on the other side. You can see that the birthday fits very nicely right there. I just did everything with a left aligned, and I have pictures of this with the buffalo cut off, but I did want you guys to see that you can absolutely eliminate the tent. You can de-emphasize the mauve. You could even grab I'm trying not to jostle the other design I have right here next to me. You could even leave a little bit of that scene showing. I kind of like that. And then pretend there's a happy birthday sentiment here. And I really like that way better than the mauve, but I wanted you to see first embracing the tent color, then let's get rid of the tent. And you could even do this in the blue if you wanted. I don't have the yellow trim, but that would be another fun way to go. You could take either the binoculars, you could do the adventure effect here. That could go, there's room above or below. I probably like it better above for whatever reason. Who knows? And then there's the cute double bow to add to the compass. You're hiding the stream a little bit, but I think it's still okay. And I did not get photography of this one. And this one I actually really like. Here, I even kind of like having a little bit of the scene show through. So that's a good one. It's endless. The kits like this that are so good. Okay, so that takes care of the tent. I'm trying to make sure I cover all of the bases. Now I want to go with a technique. Oh, first let's do the canoe. Let's do the canoe. It's not quite mauve, so I kept with the copper clay colors. I like that. In fact, that's where I stole the compass from. You could always sponge the edges of any of these scenes. Oops, I'm just trying to make sure I don't cover the words, but people can still see. So I really like this. I don't even know if I got this exact layout in the photography. So that's using the panels as is without any tweaking to them. You then can do some treatments, which I'm going to demonstrate next. So the first treatment I have is just taking the sanding block, which you have seen me do many times. Here is my sanding block. It's the same one I've had for years in my bag, and you can dry emboss with any interesting pattern because it's the white core, which ironically I will have to say in the catalog this year There is a pack of paper. I think there's multiple colors, maybe 5 colors, and it's white core. And previously, the only way that we could do this treatment is by buying paper pumpkins, because the paper pumpkins are more often than not white core. And so you just take the edge of your sanding block and you can get as much of the white to show through as you want. You can do the edges, you can rough up the edges, or just have some of the white show when you put it on the mat. These make really easy, fast cards. Adding all of these little bits, perhaps we want the binoculars. You could take the binoculars and take a single strand. This is what the linen, like I said, it's very dainty. It's even maybe thinner than the linen trim that we have. And you could like loop them around like the strap that you put the binoculars around your neck. Just wanted to point that out. You can do the very nice masculine little flaglet. I did not get a picture of this exact layout. This is what happens. And I think I still stopped at like 25 different photographs. And I'm still coming up with new ones. So that is the first possible treatment. Then I went and did what I probably think is my favorite. All of these are very light and bright, but I really want to see them aged and distressed. So I did the copper clay with the time-worn type. I ran it through the embosser, and then I took the dauber that I have, and I had extra ink. I had taken the very, very overly wet full-size ink pad, and because I wanted this to be really colorful, and it did a really nice job, but then I had to smooth it out because it had the streaks. So with what I had left on here, I went ahead and went around the edges into the corners and gave this a really nice aged distressed look. So now you can add whatever bits and pieces you want to complete your scene. You can add the copper clay. You can put whatever mats you want. It looks great with the blue. And then let's put our little flag up here that we like and get rid of this for this color tone. And you could add the little neck strap. There's this message that I think fits better in like the bottom left corner. Well, maybe it fits nicely in the middle. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay, so put it in the middle. Put the little bow. You've got dots you can add. Any colors will do. I also wanted to share 2 other masculine dot possibilities are adhesive backed studs, black and silver, and one of my favorites, rustic metallic adhesive backed dots. This is my second or third package, and those are just a nice neutral color. That would be great. Notice here I put a couple of yellow, and then this has the copper clay. You can do the multiple colors. If I were doing these and I had no restrictions at all, I would probably do this to all of them, or a set of them for sure. But there is one other fun treatment that I have to share. I have a lot of photography of it, just showing all the different ways it will work. And I do want to grab one of the full bases. Where do I have them hiding? Over here. All right, so we have these scenes. So you could decide to make artwork. I would, to make the artwork be fit in, say, an 11 by 14 frame, I would vertically slice it would have to be sliced through the center so that you would lose the dimple for your score line, and this could make lovely art. I want to show you, this is the other scene and then the third scene. So what I did, I probably would not go with the mauve tent. For some reason, I'm just not into the mauve tent, but I do love the buffalo. So you could lose this and cut it into pieces, stretch it out to fill in the space, add some lovely mats. So what I did is a miniature version of that so that you could get the idea of what that would look like. So, taking one of the scenes, I did a couple of mats, and actually I did 3. Where's my third mat? It is, I believe, this. It could be blue, or it could be the yellow. We'll just go with the yellow because it's right here. Because I just wanted you to get the idea. I took one of the scenes and I cut it vertically into 4 strips. Then I had to cut off, I decided that the top could lose some of the sky. I wanted to keep the mountain scene, and I wanted to keep the bottom with the path. So I couldn't lose the path. Here is a miniature version of what you could do with the full width. And I think a piece of art on the wall would be awesome, either as a gift or for yourself. And then I did a bunch of photography with all of the different sentiments, moving them around, adding and removing the extra trims. I don't even think I added any dots to the photography. Let's see. I like the lights on the dark, and then I already have a copper clay. You could also, instead of dressing it up, you could have it be more casual and just throw on either the compass or the binoculars. There's cheers to another great adventure. So, if you wanted to keep them very interesting for people, I hope I have shown you some really fun ways that you could dress these up, make them more adventurous looking cards. There's the birthday. We have a wonderful happy birthday. Hey, and here's something I have not done with this. Let me grab a white full size. That's a white one. And I guess you can kind of see what it would look like on the full white. I just wanted to see what the white heat embossing. You know, I historically did not do heat embossing hardly at all. And when this was before we were traveling, then all of a sudden we're traveling, so my husband is paying more attention to my crafting. And he feels that stamped sentiments just don't pop enough. He just thinks that they need, sentiments should be emphasized and should always be heat embossed on a colored cardstock. So that's why I, for the last 6 years, have been doing so much of it, because that is his preference. And I do think that it makes a card just look all the more finished. So this I also didn't get a photograph of, which I'm going to probably take a picture of this as soon as I let you guys go. I think that's all I've got. I'm sure I have well over an hour's worth of photography to try to pare down. I try to keep it under an hour. And then I will add chapters so you guys can just jump to the different sections that you're interested in. I've been talking about the next video, which is going to be me demoing my sentiment database that will include sentiment search, date search, as well as the kit search. And I just found the images of all of the stamp sets from the start, and I have data entry to put in for that, as well as I have to break up the images so that each one has its own entry in the database. But at least I have entered all from 2018 through April, not including this month's kit. All of the sentiments are searchable now. So I would love to get you guys using it and get your thoughts on it. I hope that it helps everyone. I'm pretty addicted to being able to search and not having had time to do the sentiment search for all of each catalog for the last 2 catalogs from January to now. It has been difficult, but it is so time consuming. I wish there was some way to automate it, but there just isn't. It requires to be cultivated by hand by somebody's eye. So I think that's all I've got. I would love to know your thoughts on this kit. I think it is a wonderful kit. Oh, and I'm going to have the photography for my golden voucher colored drawing that I colored in. I will show the Crayola colored version versus the Stampin' Up colored pencils version, which I did dry. The Stampin' Up colored pencils are watercolor. I prefer to use them dry. I don't like to make messes, and watercolor to me is a messy medium. So I just like nice, clean, colorful looking colored pencil pieces. So let me know your thoughts. Do all the YouTube things, like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.